right? So, Paul, take us through some of the sample questions, some questions we must expect when we are going for F2 interview.
Yeah, of course.
Like this way, what questions did the consoler ask your wife when she was coming or when she went for the interview? Yes.
Okay. So it went this way. Hey, so you are a nurse? And she said yes, because she had a nursing uniform on, right? And we've talked about dressing and application and all of that. Go and look for that video. And she says, okay, where are you going? And then she mentioned the name of my school and my name and said, oh, I'm going to be with my spouse who is studying here at
wait,
Georgia.
Here you must have an idea of the course your spouse is studying, where your spouse is studying as well, right?
Yes, that's very important because that's where you're
that
going.
Applies to whether your spouse is already there or your spouse is in the interview room with you. They just want to know whether you have an idea of your husband or your wife and what he or she is coming to say. Please go on.
And then probably the next question was, do you have children together? How long have you been married? Those two questions essentially is to establish the relationship, the marriage.
Where did you meet?
Right. And then where did you meet? Those kinds of questions. You know, what are your plans for children? Those kinds of things. Are you planning to have children in the US? Are you planning to? All of those is to establish your connection. And I think what my wife said was, we don't have children now, but we plan that after his study, when we come back home, we will have.
So here, your wife has quickly established some connection of ties back to your home country with you and her. That, we have plans that you have children, but not now or not in the US. We are not going to the US to have kids, to have American citizen children. Even if you have the idea, you don't say it. But we have planned that after school, we will come back home, then we have our case here. That's a smart way to answer that question.
Of course, and that was a very genuine answer because that was the plan at the time. And so you just go ahead and answer that. But like you rightly pointed, that answer not only sort of proves our relationship as a couple, but it also proves our plans to return back to our home country. And I think that was the most appealing part. And then the other question that came up was, how long are you going to be in the US?
That's tricky.
And those questions it's very tricky. You know, at the end of the day, you essentially your answer would essentially be something like, you can state, the duration of the program. That's a classic answer to give. So if the duration of the program is 2 years and already your husband has spent 1 year and you're going to join him, then your answer would be, 1 year and then we will return back to our home country to do so and so and so. Right? But if you're going together and both of you are in the interview room, then you can simply say, as long as my husband is there on his program, then I'm going to be with him. Or another option is to say, because in my wife's case, she was a professional, she was working, and so it's easier for her to say, I'm going to be with my husband for so and so
and come back.
And then after that, I'll come back and, pay attention to my job.
So maybe my husband has been away for 6 months, for 1 year. I miss him.
Yes.
So I'm going for a summer vacation. Yes. I'm going for the Christmas
vacation.
I'm going for this and I'll return.
Yes.
Of course, maybe when you come, your interests, your plans may change, because when you come and meet your husband, you might have a different plan, right? And in that case, if you are working, then you must give notice of resignation and order. That's a different issue. That is not for our expertise here. So the other option is that you are not coming to stay. So I was coming to ask, what if I'm coming to visit my husband on a vacation? Do I need B1, B2 instead of F1? For example, my husband is studying and I am also a student at the University of Ghana, or I'm also a nurse. I'm also a teacher, a government teacher who is under contract. I can't leave my job and come and stay with my husband or wife, because there might be consequences. So in that case, can I come and visit as F2 or on the visa F2, or I will need an B1, B2 since it is a visit?
So that's a very good question. The answer to this is that you qualify for both. So at the end of the day, it's a choice. Which one do you think would be able to tell your story better? If you ask me, I would say the best option is to go to the F2, because the F2 is essentially you taking your husband's document
and bringing it,
attaching your own. Yes, you taking your husband's document or your spouse, your wife's document, whoever has the F1, and then you attaching your story to that, and then telling that story.
Know that,
but B2B,
consulants know that at least family you must be together. They know that your husband has been long and you might miss him or her, so it makes sense that you are coming to visit instead of going on the B2. So the B2 doesn't come in.
Oh, no, B1, B2.
B1, B2 doesn't come in.
If you ask me. If you ask me, that's what I'll say. The F2 visa probably in this case is the best. And let's not forget that this is also for children. All right?
Yes.
It's also for children. It's not only for spouse. So if your children is involved, in that case, it will make more sense for your children to also be on F2, to which they would qualify for more like opportunities in the US when they come into the country than a B1 and a B2.
So, Paul, how do I answer the question? What will you be doing whilst in the US and your husband is studying? How do I answer that? If the consular asks me.
Yeah, that's a good question. It depends on your story, right? So, if like our story, your spouse is already involved in something, then your answer essentially would be, your best answer would essentially be to connect the fact that I don't intend to stay the whole time because there's really nothing much that I can do. But I intend to visit for 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, and then come back home and be involved in what I'm doing, right? If you come to the US and that plan changed, that is for the future. The other situation is if you are not involved in anything, but you qualify, right, and you need to go and be with your spouse. The consular knows that you cannot work. The consular knows that you can go to school part-time. So you can basically rumble around those two things and say that, well, my primary goal is to be with my spouse. And our goal is
all the
to
support he needs as he focuses on his studies.
Offer him all the support.
And you can even say that your spouse's program is highly demanding. He's in a PhD program. He's in a master's program. And that program requires a lot of attention, and you believe your presence will always help him to concentrate.
Will enhance his success.
That should be okay. Yeah.
Exactly. That should be okay because the consular knows the limits to what your visa can do. So your explanation doesn't have to be necessarily, I'm going to work or whatever. But your explanation primarily should be, I'm going to be with my spouse and I'm going to support my spouse in any best way that I can. But occasionally, if I have the time, I'll find a volunteer, whatever, and volunteer. I'll find whatever, vocational, whatever, and then I'll also help them. But those ones could be like supplementary answers that we can give. But essentially, if you're not already involved in anything, you can basically focus on your spouse or your primary F1 applicant, and whatever that applicant has done or is doing, and then pledge your support in that, and then you'll be good.